It is time to tune up the band and get patriotic about your own country's wrestling, for it is another episode of the Sweet Chinwag podcast. I am Sam, joined as ever by Riordan and Dan as we continue our journey through the wacky world of professional wrestling. And for this episode, we are joined by independent wrestler and the franchise player of Target Wrestling, Shady Nattrass. Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, how are we all doing now that kind of we're behind WrestleMania and all of that's done? How are we all feeling?
Still tired.
just exhausted forever.
All I'm saying is it was a good decision on my part to just not stay up for either night of WrestleMania, just watch it the next morning.
Agreed. That was a lot of wrestling to get through. A heck of a lot of wrestling to get through that week.
I think on my count there's 16 shows that I had to go through. I said I had to. I didn't have to at all.
That's crazy. That's actually crazy. Alrighty, so we give you this podcast thanks to those lovely people over at SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and always and forever pending other platforms.
Always be pending.
So, Dan, before we get on to the news, Shady, would you like to introduce yourselves to the Sweet Chinwag audience and tell them what you get up to and where you've been around the world in terms of professional wrestling?
Well, my name's Shady Nattrass, and I started training to be a professional wrestler in 1999, and I had my first match in 2001, so this year will be my 20th year in British wrestling. I'm primarily based at Target Wrestling, but I do venture to other parts of the UK, and I'm often seen up at Discovery in Edinburgh and various other places. I've been lucky enough to challenge for the Ring of Honor World title against Jay Lethal. I've worked with Al Snow, who's a personal favourite of mine, Paul London, who's a good friend, Angela Cole, Roderick Strong, Joey Janela, pretty much a who's name of professional wrestling.
So it's safe to say that you've earned the moniker of the franchise player. That's for darn sure.
I'm not lying.
Oh, good. No, honestly, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on, sir, and to talk about what we're going to be talking about in this episode, all about British indie wrestling. But before we get on to all of that good stuff, as I said, it is time to visit Dan for this week's wrestling news.
I'm so angry with the news, I'm not even going to do it. Just get on with it.
Wrestling news. Insert jingle here. Sam, you can do something in post.
I've tried to.
Can you just copy and paste one of the ones that I've done when I've been happy?
No, you know what? I'm keeping this because I think people need to know. We were going to talk about WrestleMania, but then the 15th of April happened.
Well, yeah, we were going to talk about WrestleMania and then the collective weekend, which I still want to do in more detail. It might just come 2 weeks after the fact at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Just if not just specifically to say, just go out of your way to watch Rich Swann versus Two Cold Scorpio.
Oh yeah,
It's a genuinely enjoyable match.
I agree. It was a really good match.
Yeah. I also highly recommend Josh Barnett versus John Moxley as well at Bloodsport 6. Oh, that was a great match. That was.
Yeah. But no, we have to get into the unfortunate part, and exactly 1 year to the day from last year. For the next run of releases, and we will give you a rundown of the full list of names, including those who were already previously released, and we'll get to a pair at the end because I know that they are going to be the most annoying for at least us specifically, but obviously the big one being Samoa Joe. As far as we know, the context around this being that Samoa Joe wanted to return to in-ring action, but he wasn't being allowed to, and WWE said that they preferred to have him on commentary.
Suddenly I'm getting flashbacks to 1994 and Randy Savage wanted to come back to in-ring action. Because it does. I mean, I didn't make that comparison until this morning. As I was kind of like compiling notes for the week's kind of news and for that in particular, and I thought to myself, that does smell a lot of like what happened to Randy Savage when he left for WCW.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
But no, I know it's a weird comparison to make to Samoa Joe and Randy Savage, but
No, but the situations are the same, effectively.
very much the same. But no,
He wants to return to in-ring action, hasn't been allowed to. They say, actually, you're a really good commentator, we're going to keep you there.
at least he has a nice little out when he wants to eventually kind of retire or bow up from in-ring action. But gosh, man, Joe will go anywhere, and he's going to be absolutely an incredible asset to anyone.
Let's just say he's not going to be hurting for work.
Yeah, like Joe, honestly, it's fine. It's fine. Go and do things, Joe, because you will do things as is tradition.
Just don't do any more spots involving jumping downstairs, please. Everyone kept, because of that announcement, for some reason, everyone kept sharing that clip, and I was like, please no, I don't want to see this again.
God, that match with Sting at that moment, it's forever immortalized in my head of Joe's reaction after he did it, the look of, oh God, why did I just do that spot?
I have made a mistake.
Now, I have to ask, as the professional wrestler out of all four of us here, Shady, I can't imagine doing a drop kick onto concrete stairs is a wise move.
Absolutely. I like to protect myself as much as possible, so I won't be doing anything like that anytime soon.
I don't think anyone should look at that spot and go, you know what, that would be really good to do it. But I think the worst thing about that is like 90% of the shot is just obscured by fans, so you don't even see it really.
Yeah.
Moving on next, though, in terms of profile, probably the next biggest one beyond the people we'll get to later. Mickie James now being released from contract. She was only really making sporadic appearances since about 2016.
Yeah.
But again, probably not going to be hurting for work.
Yeah.
If she decides to stay in ring. Lots of people have said they expect her to go to the NWA. Nicole, this is there.
I'm not sure what Mickie James will do, because like, how old is Mickie James actually?
Give me a second while I use the power of Google.
I feel like it's one of those things where you say you never ask a woman their age, really.
Yeah, sure.
So I never know.
That's fair. I have looked it up, and with that in mind, yeah, she could go. She could keep going. She's fine. She'll be fine. But you know, Mickie James. Mickie James is great.
Exactly.
The other thing with Mickie is she likes to do other, like she had a singing career at one point, and she's got the family now. So you know what I mean. Maybe winding down is what she wants to do. With Jeremy, she could appear on NWA, and that can kind of fulfill her wrestling needs and do whatever else she wants.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way I expect to see it.
Yeah, as Dan said and pitched to me, I'd like to see that rivalry between Mickie James and Melina reignited in NWA.
Yeah, just have it operating by proxy.
Exactly.
Because it's worth saying as well, we haven't been able to cover it, but NWA brought in a whole host of new young female talent to pad out their women's division.
I'd tell you, they've done some really I'll say this: Billy Corgan's done some really good work in terms of his women's division in NWA.
It's horrible because I know I was talking to someone about it relatively recently. I believe her name is Camille.
Yes,
who they brought in, who looks like their next big women's division star. Then next along we see Kalisto of Lucha House Party, former United States champion and cruiserweight champion, being released as well.
And of course,
again, not going to be hurting for work at all.
And of course, we know about his greatest achievement was Mr. Good Lucha Things as well.
Yes.
All right, no, he's more than that, but still, I still can't get over that.
No. He peaked.
He peaked at Good Lucha Things. No, honestly, I'm very excited to see Kalisto go and do his thing.
Kalisto's pre-WWE work, like his match with El Generico at Evolve, that was an outstanding match.
That was a great match, and as I know that Brian Cage has said on a number of occasions that there was a match planned between him and Samurai Del Sol. So you know what? Touch wood, we get to actually see that match in the future because I'd be so hyped for that.
Dude, hopefully we'll see Samurai Del Sol probably in like AAA next week.
That's the hope.
Moving on then, see Chelsea Green now being released. Never made a main roster appearance.
Yeah, it's a shame considering like it was injury after injury that kind of stunted her kind of like momentum going. It's the Hideo Itami effect that happens when you're in WWE now.
I think the most surprising thing for me was that even with all the injuries, she was given a 3-year extension.
Yeah,
and then released.
Yeah, exactly.
She only got the extension in November.
They must have seen something in her, I suppose.
And then we're just like, no.
The fickle mind of WWE creative. You love to see it, don't you?
The one that I think a lot of people, not actually one that people want to see, but I'm going to phrase it necessarily in that way, but Bo Dallas being released, at least from the sounds of it, he was pretty much done with wrestling. Hadn't made an in-ring appearance since Crown Jewel, which was 2019.
Yeah, that one's crazy. I mean,
he's been around for so long.
Yeah,
doing things.
Getting over naturally, not only kind of like from the social act, well, from his Bo Leave gimmick, and then to social outcasts, and then the B team, he naturally got over with fans. I guess much to the chagrin of creative.
I don't think they expected Bo Leave to get over as much as it does.
Nah, definitely.
I mean,
not.
I still talk to most people, most casual fans, and they still quite like and reminisce about Bo Leave. So it had something.
Because it's like when I was talking to some friends of mine who are American, and I was like, yeah, but sometimes wrestlers that aren't popular in the US get over big, like over here.
Yeah.
And Bo Dallas was one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they missed a trick not having some sort of Bray Wyatt, Bo Dallas crossover.
Yeah.
No, they absolutely should have done that in some way.
I know they did one tease in 2013 on an episode of NXT, and that was about it.
You'd think there was some money in there somewhere to do some sort of story that doesn't involve Jack in the Boxes.
Or a box-like structure, as
it's
Michael
a
Cole
box-like
put it.
structure, I'll have you know. It goes alongside with the local medical facility.
Sorry, I should have drunk water when you said that, Dan.
Then just another last two now. Both people who have unfortunately suffered the curse of the tag team breakup before we get to the most obvious case of that. Wesley Blake and Tucker of Heavy Machinery now being released from their contracts. Pretty much both people who suffered by not being in tag teams because that's what they were good at.
Yeah.
That's what made them popular.
Yep.
And now we get to live with the crazy thing of Jackson Riker being the member of the Forgotten Sons that's still with WWE.
How does that work?
You must have some dirt on some high-functioning member or high-up member of the office, because I don't know. Or he must be a really good security guard for Elias. One of the two.
Elias is vouching for him big. But let's get into the big one. It's the one that's hurt us. It's hurt Josh Robinson. It's hurt fans all over the world, really. The Iconics have been released.
What a waste!
I do not.
Just following on with the paraphrased words of Kevin Dunn here. I don't get it, and I don't see anything in them.
I don't think Kevin Dunn, Vince, any of sort of the talent relations people were going to be fully aware of just how much this was going to rock the boat, I think, with wrestling fans.
To say the least.
Because it's fair to say that, you know, regardless of their kind of like their in-ring work, which is massively improved over the years, they got over through pure charisma. And, you know, when, you know, people go into the WWE, that's the one thing they're told, is that you've got to have that personality and charisma, because that's the thing that'll get you, you know, the big time in this company. But they've been released. It's
just the thing of, like, you have a women's tag division and you have a women's tag team who are over and can get the reactions that you want out of them, whether or not you want people to like them or you want people to hate them. And you're just like, break them up.
It baffles me how, like, the WWE relies on, as you say, Vince and Kevin Dunn, when it's never been easier to see what is over. You used to have to see who bought the merch, who sold the tickets, and heard the voices in the crowd. But now you just go on social media, and that's it. All your work's there.
Yeah. Gosh, I never thought of that. But you're right, Shady. It's like,
yeah, no, because it's like oh god, who was it? There's someone I was watching an interview with recently. And they're like, yeah, no, the thing is that for a lot of wrestlers before, it was just you just kind of had to do stuff in the ring and see what people liked. And you just kind of watch it back and then be like, okay, well, they like that, we'll do more of this, we'll do more of that. But now you just have this instant feedback.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I could go on forever about kind of just like, I think those two, if you'd given them a year, really like gone over more stuff with them, I'd paired them with Tyson Kidd, pair them with Finlay, you could make them into really good, like, all around wrestlers. Heck, don't split them up. That's the one main thing I think everyone has said. I could go on forever.
To be fair, we've been there and said we're not going to be able to talk Mania yet, but I will say, just to repeat the thing I've been seeing around on Twitter all the time, produced by Tyson Kidd is going to become like the new marker
exactly
for women's matches.
Absolutely. So I feel like that Finlay passed the torch down to Tyson Kidd in this regard. But
Tyson Kidd's been putting out work.
It's funny how people now prefer a match to be produced by Tyson Kidd than Shawn Michaels.
Exactly. Oh man,
we don't talk about Michael Hayes.
Gosh, I could go on forever, but I feel like I should give the floor for a few minutes to Riordan, because if this has really hurt any of us out of the three of us, it's Riordan especially.
Oh, blood feud. Blood feud.
This is for you, Johnny Funk, man.
The moment they were broken up, I felt like everyone knew that the writing was on the wall, and yet we still kind of sort of believed, to our folly, perhaps, that this wasn't an inevitability.
I think the thing about it was it came with the requisite, like, oh, okay, they're splitting up the tag team to push someone, and then Peyton never got the push.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, I guess people don't like Peyton anymore. And I'm like, this is not how this works.
Hold on. Yeah. It's just...
Bear in mind, at least if we follow the time frame and the way things were planned, nothing was going to happen with Peyton until Lacey Evans won the title. And if you consider when that was meant to happen, which would have been what? March?
Yeah.
Something like that.
It would have been February or March, which would have left what? 1 to 2 months left to Mania?
it's just
And even then, we would have had Charlotte returning anyway.
they had Edge and Christian again, and then they just ruined it for no discernible reason. I don't understand. Someone explain this to me.
No, I can't. I really can't read it. I'm sorry, buddy.
It's just,
I can't explain it, but what it does do for me is I remember there was someone had tweeted it, but it was when John Laurinaitis was announced that he was returning as head of talent relations. I just remember someone being like, "Stuff's gonna get bad."
Yep.
So now I feel like, looking back at that, I'm like, it's like that was the moment. That was the moment where it all started to go wrong.
Yep. Pretty much.
Who'd have thought with the potential Peyton Lacey feud that it would be Peyton without the job?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think
this is disregarding the other tweet I saw recently. I can't remember if I sent it to you guys, but I'll just say it. Someone said that Lacey Evans was the Baron Corbin of the women's division. I don't know, it just made me laugh.
Ooh, that's rough.
But yeah, no, it's just so confusing. They just do this thing where they're like, they have tag teams break them up, and they're like, "Oh, I guess people don't like them anymore. You got to go."
I don't know. It all comes back to this this narrative that kind of has been in WWE for, ever since 2002, I would say, probably it came into prominence, is that Vince just not liking tag teams.
This is the only explanation at this point. It really is the only explanation at this point.
It's still very confusing. It's just like, for a guy that kind of, at the turn of the century, his biggest matches were coming from three of the most decorated tag teams of all time in Edge and Christian, the Dudleys and the Hardys, to suddenly not wanting a damn thing to happen with the tag team division. It's confusing. It's
reminder that the women's tag team division has one actual tag team and they've never held the belts.
Exactly. It's such a confusing thing as to why Vince is not on board with tag team wrestling nowadays, when other companies have definitely shown that it can be a very good draw for your product.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
When he's willing to throw gimmick matches down people's throats, like Elimination Chambers and Money in the Banks, tag team matches are the easiest gimmick match you can get.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, we don't need another Nigerian drum fight, but we could do with a lot more tag team matches. Oh no, it's such.
It's. I think it's just crazy for me, especially when you look at other companies who have invested so heavily in tag team wrestling.
Yeah. I mean, we will.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, we could all say AEW, but come on, that's the obvious choice. But still.
Well, yeah, that is obviously the easy choice. But I mean, even across most other companies, like Impact have gone in pretty heavily.
Yeah, I mean, Mexico
they've always had a pretty strong tag division.
But even NXT.
Yeah. Even actually, no, you're right, Shady. Even NXT, it's a lot more prominence with the tag division. I mean, because I fear for the day when we'll see the tag teams that are currently now in there go up to the main roster, because I don't want to see grizzled young veterans or MSK or Lorcan and Birch split up. But we know that if they ever do go to the main roster, that's probably what's going to happen. Is it me?
It's just like what I've been saying to a couple of people, that it's like, because between me and my friends, we kind of have this split of like people that only care about main roster, and then I guess like me and one other guy who we like still we are the people that watch independent wrestling.
Yeah.
And there's a very distinct kind of split. And the thing I always say is like, the thing about it, though, is that some people just suit NXT better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't ever see Lorcan and Birch working on main roster. As great as they are, I just don't think they fit the thing that they're going for. But NXT, they can be amazing. And they are amazing.
Yep.
And shout out Danny Birch.
Hope his shoulder is a fast recovery in his shoulder injury, for sure. But yeah, I feel like something came into my mind as well. Do you think Vince, the reason why he splits tag teams up is he's trying to capture that lightning in a bottle that was Shawn throwing Marty through the barbershop window?
But
Anything at this point.
But if you look in the case of the Iconics, if you're not going to follow it up, what's the point?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like if you're just going to do it and then just be like, that's that, and you're not going to get like the most we got out of it was that one moment at the Rumble.
Mind you, it could be worse. They could have split up the New Day. Oh, wait.
I mean, like, technically the New Day are still together, just as two people.
Yeah.
But, like, that's like a big asterisk.
Oh gosh, that much is true. But yeah, it sucks. The timing on it, I think, it was terrible, given that it was 1 year since Black Wednesday, and that was a horrible thing to think about. And then I think that just stirred up even more emotions. I think that's just why a lot more fans have been a bit more vocal about this one. Is because, wow, the timing on this is absolutely perfect, guys.
Well, the one the thing for me was when they said it was budget reasons,
which blows my mind. I mean,
well, that's
$1 billion Peacock deal, by the way.
That's an.
Although I should say strictly that won't come into effect till the next financial quarter. Yada yada yada.
I must say, I almost want to clap at the balls to call that, to say it's a budget reason.
I refer you all to to our dear friend Joseph Montecilio's video, "What's Wrong with WWE," because that still holds up a year later.
Yeah.
But I mean, is this how we're going to end the news? Because I feel like that's a bit of a damp squib to end on, doesn't it?
Just
okay,
do it.
my note to end the news. It's all awful. Go check out some of the cool matches from the collective weekend.
There we go. Perfect.
Kevin Koo versus Daniel Garcia, banger.
There we go.
Wrestlers being sick in the ring on the collective.
That was also another thing that did happen. Yes,
yes, that was. Alrighty,
just
watch Daniel Garcia's first match of the day, not the second.
Yes, agreed.
That wasn't even the only one. Lee Moriarty had his match with JJ Garrett.
Yes.
Yep.
And he was sick as well.
But yeah, I guess the only note, I mean, we'll talk about it in detail on next week's news, but no. End this on a lighter note. You owe it to yourself to go watch the collective from 2021. Awesome. Alrighty then. So, with the news out of the way, it is time to talk about the who's who of British independent wrestling. So I've split this up into 3 sections. We're going to go over and talk about our kind of favourite wrestlers that are already kind of notable in the scene, probably currently touring the world or in different countries, doing their craft and, getting a much bigger name for themselves. Then we're going to be talking about favourite upcoming wrestlers, the ones that are just starting out and building a name for themselves in the UK scene. And then we're going to end it talking about some of our favourite promotions at the moment. As I said on the last episode, when we were talking about this, with everything that had happened last year, I want to just give a much more big positive note to the British independent wrestling scene, because there is some real good in that scene, and there are some really good people that are ploughing their craft and making some amazing matches in this scene. So let us start off with some of our favorite wrestlers at the moment, and I'm going to start off with, well, a man who I've mentioned a lot on this podcast, a man who's currently in DDT Pro making absolute waves for himself. And that, of course, is Chris Brooks.
Love Chris Brooks.
This is going to be such an interesting episode for me, as you guys basically rant and rave at me, and I'm just nod politely. Let's see what you got, guys.
Well, we have spoken about Chris Brooks before.
Yes, you have, but I'm just saying, in general, this is going to be fascinating.
Yeah, but I love Chris Brooks because he strikes that amazing line between really, really good technical wrestler and then also someone that can also not have to take himself seriously.
Absolutely.
When you work in DDT Pro, that's kind of a prerequisite.
Exactly. I mean, come on, look, the Leisure Centre match that he was in, need I say more about how serious Chris Brooks takes himself? But I have a lot of time and a lot of respect for Chris Brooks, because I've met him a number of times in at shows I've been to, and the fact that he went out of his way to bet on himself and go, you know what? No, I'm not going to take a contract to NXT UK. I'm going to try my hand and see if I can make it in Japan. And lo and behold, he has made quite a name for himself at DDT Pro, the first DDT Pro Universal Champion as well.
Yeah.
He's become very quickly become quite a household name in that company, and I could not be any more happier for him.
Chris Brooks is the prime example of doing what you love, and
exactly.
he wrestles how he wants to wrestle, and it might not be to everybody's taste, but you can't help but be entertained by him, in whether it's his as you said, not so serious attitude or his technical ability.
Indeed. I mean, there's a reason why he's had what many people consider some of the great tag team matches in the British scene, when he was teaming up with Jonathan Gresham and taking on LAX. Like when he can go, and then some.
Yeah, I think the thing about Chris Brooks that I love is that I do get a very tangible sense of, you can tell how much he enjoys doing it.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell how much he just loves wrestling, especially his stuff in Defiant when he was with Kid Lycos.
Yeah.
Because that just feels like two guys who just love wrestling, and they're just like, yeah, we're just going to go out there, do what we want, have fun with it.
Absolutely.
Do you think he followed his passion to Japan rather than NXT UK because of the British strong style Mark Andrews comparison? Because rather than just being another one of the name amongst them, he can be his own person.
Absolutely. Oh, and may I just say as well, his merch absolutely slaps.
Yeah. If he was in NXT UK, he wouldn't have been able to have had a match featuring both Maki Ito and Atsushi Onita.
There we go. And that's why infinitely he's one of the most notable names in the scene right now. So if you've never seen that match, if no one knows what I'm talking about here, it was for...
Yeah,
it was for Rojo, which is a subset of DDT Pro, and you can see Maki Ito look like a kawaii version of Negan from The Walking Dead.
That is a choice.
It's amazing, Riordan. I highly recommend it.
I'm going to send you the picture, Riordan.
All right.
Okay, Shady. Who is one of your favorite wrestlers that are the more notable names in the British indie scene at the moment?
Well, one that I'd throw out there is DCT. He former ICW champion, and then he had a trip over to Australia.
Yes.
And I think he even wrestled Ken Shamrock, if I remember correctly, over in Australia.
Oh, yes, he did. Yeah, he did. I remember that match.
And he came back a totally different person with a new look and fresh attitude. And yeah, I'm a big fan of DCT.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. Kind of like a way to kind of reinvent yourself. He did that and then some. And I really did enjoy that match that he had with Ken Shamrock for sure.
I think one of the other parts of DCT's work that I think people might underestimate is he works in any position. You can put him, you know what I mean, ICW champion, you know what ICW are like, but you could put him in front of a family show and he'd still be perfect fit.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And like,
absolutely.
That sort of thing gives high marks for me for adaptability.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, gosh, I'm just trying to think about...
I think that's a thing maybe we need to say for other people, or maybe our listeners who are not from the UK, which is that kind of UK wrestling split very much across like the adult and family lines.
It's true because you can go from like the music venues and the pubs and clubs to suddenly being in, you know, the leisure centres with, you know, loads and loads of kids and like village halls and stuff like that. I find like with the British indie scene, that's what makes wrestlers a different breed to everyone else around the world, is because you've got to adapt to each kind of audience.
Yep.
And I think it makes them better because of it.
I do have to ask. I know we're doing obviously a separate collection piece interview as well along this. I have to ask Shady, have you ever done a match in a holiday camp?
Yes, I have.
Hey. The question is
matches where the crowd have thrown forks in the ring, but luckily we were like behind a fence from we were like on the basketball court where the ring was set up, and they were throwing some various objects.
It's cool, man. It must be a tough crowd. I'm guessing, was it Pontins or Butlins?
I don't know which one it was. It was the one over the northeast of England.
Tough crowd.
Yeah. But that's one of the things you get with them shows. A lot of the audience might not even like wrestling. They just go for something to do. So if you win them over, you're gonna win over fans who want to watch you.
Exactly. Alrighty, Dan. Throw out a name. Who is one of your favourite notable names in British wrestling at the moment?
Yeah, so I just wanted to mention some people who maybe, you know, came a little bit before. And, you know, those people who came up, or notable names in the British independent scene.
Yeah.
So obviously, you look to people like Doug Williams, Pac.
Yeah.
Joel Redman as well. My one, though, I want to give a specific shout out to is another person who's gone from the UK independent scene all the way over to Japan. That's Gabriel Kidd.
Yes.
Because I remember watching him back WCPW.
Fun fact,
all the way up.
I did Gabriel Kidd's entrance video for the time I worked at What Culture.
Really?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. But just watching him go strength to strength, even when I saw him then, I knew he was going to be big.
Yeah, there was something really
making
special
his
about
way.
him.
Now making his way in, becoming a young lion at the LA dojo, to then going in and making his first solo appearances on New Japan events.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great base to start off with when he was in the British independent scene and was making absolute waves. And then, good Lord, he got into more shape than he already was, and now he's, you know, being trained by Katsuyori Shibata. That's a hell of a resume for Gabriel Kidd to have. And I mean,
absolutely.
I know a lot of people in the British scene have really been singing his praises, and so I'm really excited to see what he can do. And I really hope that he gets really big in New Japan.
No, it's a real shame that his first kind of big matches that he was getting in 2020, 2021 were all kind of like weird multi-tag matches.
Yes.
And then I think he also had a singles match, but I think his opponent got injured as well, like halfway through. And I think the match was only like 7 minutes in.
Yeah.
It was a real shame because but he's doing good work. He can keep up with the best of them.
Mm. No,
I think he showed the dedication that they want over there.
Yeah.
And that's half the battle. It doesn't matter about your actual work as much. If you're going to put the time and effort in, I think that definitely goes a long way with them.
Absolutely. As I said though, like, I'm so excited to see what he can do in the future in New Japan, and thinking of the matchups he can have in that company as well is just. I'm so excited to see what the future holds for Gabriel Kidd, for sure. I mean, I'm hoping to see the match between him and Jeff Cobb soon. That's all. That's a match I definitely want to see at New Japan.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And as we look to, we look to the future of New Japan, I definitely could see him having, kind of. I imagine they're probably going to put him on a similar track to ZSJ.
Most likely.
But kind of steadily making his way up, getting more wins in the New Japan Cup, moving further and further.
Indeed. Okie doke. A couple of names I have as well that are some of my favourite notable names. Kid Like Us, we've already mentioned. I'm so glad that he's been able to come out of retirement. The guy had such terrible luck with shoulder injuries after coming back from one after the other. I'm so glad that he's come out of retirement, doing his thing. One day, fingers crossed, when there is a sense of normality in the world again, we could hopefully see a reunion of CCK. That's the hope for me, anyway. I want to shed a little light on one of my favourite people in wrestling. I just think one of the most like positive personalities I think in the British scene, and that's Chuck Mambo.
Hell yeah, love Riptide.
Love Riptide, and I've every time I've ever been to a live show and Chuck's been on the card, it's always been like I've always had a massive smile on my face because he's another one of those guys that just looks like he is thoroughly enjoying doing what he's doing.
He just fits Riptide so perfectly.
so perfectly. And I will give a shout out as well to TK Cooper and their tag team Escaping the Mid-Card. Yes, I have been on a couple of episodes in the background of ETM. And again, absolutely lovely lads. Every time I've met them, such a bundle of energy on shows as well. Chris Ridgway, I want to give a special shout out to as well. That guy is like Shibata, Kurt Angle and Kyle O'Reilly all in like mixed up into one giant ball, and then of course his nickname is Hard as Fuck. So he is an intimidating figure of a man. Who's
he with now? Is he with ROH now?
I believe I know he's done a couple of shows currently for Progress, and I know he's done a tour or two with Noah in 2019, which was like a bucket list dream for him. And I was so happy to see Chris Ridgway in Pro Wrestling Noah. But he's a guy that I definitely feel like he is such a kind of like hidden gem because I feel like people who know he is good in that ring. He had a great match against Kyle O'Reilly at Super Strong Style 16, which I was there to witness, and it was amazing. But it's just like we all know he's good. We just wish we could see him on a bigger platform because he would do so freaking well on a bigger platform. I mean, I guess maybe that would be Progress on the WWE network. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll hold out for that one.
We could hold out for that one for sure. But no, a great name in the British indie scene. And a couple of women wrestlers as well that I want to shine a light on is Giselle Shaw and Charlie Evans. Again, they may not be British, but they've made their name and played their craft.
Charlie Evans was working Eve for a while before she went back to Australia.
Yeah.
Even then, we say that she's one of the leading faces of the Australian independent scene now.
Exactly.
One of the many reasons I tell people to go and check them out now, because the Australian independent scene is kind of a feeder for a lot of the British independent scene.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Oh, heck yeah. Like, there's a reason why Tony Storm...
It's also a massive feeder for NXT UK, but...
Yeah, that is true. But yeah, no, all of those names are like worth checking out as like the notable names that are in the British indie scene at the moment. And well, worth your time researching them via Cage Match or YouTube. Okay, so with that, some of our favourite upcoming wrestlers. The guys that are guys and gals that are playing their craft at the moment are already making a name for themselves. They're making few rumblings in the scene. They're not widely known, but we know for certain that they're going to be known pretty darn soon. My one for this, when I starting out, is Ethan Allen. I ever since kind of watching his stuff on Progress, I've been really impressed by him. I mean, he's been actually in the past couple of chapters has been tagging with Chris Ridgway, and I like his stuff. He seems pretty solid in that ring, and I'm very excited to see what the future holds for Ethan Allen.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think he's one of those people that you just got to, really just make a point of watching out for.
No, for sure.
I think it's just a matter of time before they start going even further.
That's the hope anyway. The hope anyway for these guys, especially when stuff starts reopening as well. That would be the hope anyway. Shady, who's a wrestler that is definitely coming on the up and up, is making rumblings that you like the look of in the British scene at the moment?
Well, there's a few that stand out for me. There's a couple from Target. That's Chris Kendall and Luke Ross, who used to be a tag team, but they've kind of solidified themselves as singles wrestlers now. And they're both still... They've had lots of matches, but they haven't ventured out much yet.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see where they go. You've got people like Colton Davis up in Scotland at Source, who has a bright future.
Definitely.
Yeah.
An obvious one's Joe Lando.
Yeah.
Who's definitely on my list of opponents I want to work with.
No surprise there.
And a one that's actually, I think he's signed to NXT UK now, Josh Terry or Josh Morrell.
Yes.
I believe he signed recently.
Yeah,
Maybe in the last couple months.
I believe you've actually had a match with him as well, Shady. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I've had several. Josh is outstanding, and he's only going to get better in them conditions. He's, he's not just a high flyer either. He's, Johnny Moss taught him, so he can wrestle. I think the first match I had with him, I asked if he could do a Dragon Rana, and he nailed it with skinny jeans on.
Oh my God!
What? No, that's madness.
That's easy. But
now I know I wear skinny jeans a lot of the time because my legs are like toothpicks, right? But if I'm sitting down in like a cinema for too long in skinny jeans, it starts getting uncomfortable. I ain't putting out a Dragon Rana.
Agreed.
At Target, he's wrestled Stevie Xavier, Stevie Boy, Paul London, Zach Gibson, and that's just at Target. I worked with him here. I've had 2 matches with him here, several 6-mans, a couple of triple threat matches, and I've worked with him up at Discovery as well. And he's my perfect opponent. He's a really good baby face with loads of fire, and I'm quite happy to base for him all day.
I don't blame you.
No,
absolutely amazing.
He is so good. I remember specifically watching his debut match for NXT UK. I think that there is something really special about Josh, and I really, really hope, and I touch wood, cross fingers, that it kind of like NXT UK works out for him.
If you haven't watched any of my matches with him, we like to use. He does a Canadian Destroyer on the apron.
The hardest part of the ring.
Yeah.
The hardest part of the ring.
Well, one thing with me is when you see spots like that, they're normally my idea.
So you only have yourself to blame with that.
It's your fault.
won't drop kick downstairs, but I will take Canadian Destroyers on the apron.
I don't know why.
You have to have some standards, right?
Yeah, I don't know why, but somehow I'm just having this image in my head of like you two just working together, like going through match ideas, going through sequences, and you just like, I want you to Canadian destroy me on the apron. And she goes, what?
He's learnt now to just say yeah.
So expect a Canadian Destroyer on the apron on a future episode of NXT UK very soon.
Please, I need it.
If Bad Bunny could do it, that's all I'm saying. So yeah, Dan, who are you seeing or eyeing up right now in the scene that's making rumbles?
This is just a side note, just because we're talking about Josh Morrell. I was sort of thinking, like, actually, with the kind of people they have in NXT UK, there's some great matchups with him. Like, I'd definitely love to see him versus Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
If they haven't already had a match before, but no, yeah. So absolutely, there's some names that I've got on my list who are kind of people known in the UK independents, maybe don't have the recognition elsewhere. I mean, they're people I vouch for big on our social medias as people who absolutely need to get more love. So just highlighting some of the top 3 women in the UK, and I'm going to add brackets and Ireland because she makes one of them makes a lot of appearances there. Lizzie Evo, TNT Women's Champion currently. Dude, goes hard, is like the perfect example of a British heel.
Yes. And I thought Ginny would never be topped, but no.
Nah, Lizzie Evo's work is genuinely top level.
Yeah.
The commitment she has to the business.
Mm-hmm.
And just the amount of effort that she goes to in her work really just shows and shines through. And I think the big thing you can say about it is that, at least in the context of TNT, they as a company see her as the biggest part of it.
Absolutely.
And that's something that for me is amazing to see. But no, she can do it in the ring. She can do it on the mic. She's a complete package.
Absolutely.
Then again, Alexis Falcon did some stuff with Progress recently. I believe she also did some stuff with ICW fairly recently. And again, also working TNT, but also, again, just fantastic. I'm going to apologize here because I always mess her name up. Debbie Keatel, who does lots of stuff with OTT.
Yes.
She's absolutely amazing. Again, fantastic in-ring worker, and I would say a great representation of the modern women's wrestler.
She's got a great character as well, which I think a lot of people overlook with women's wrestling, but her character work is outstanding.
Yeah, she always has a great sense of character, and I mean, I just say it as knowing what to do, knowing how to get the reaction that she wants.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One person who I, again, will vouch for massively because we need more representation there in the UK hardcore scene. Tyler Devlin of BWR.
Yes.
Love Tyler Devlin. If you can find, I believe it's from TNT's Dead on Arrival, his match with Clint Margera.
Oh gosh, yeah, that match.
You ever seen a man get thrown off the side, like a wall from a leisure centre for a pane of glass?
You what, mate?
Exactly.
It's absolutely the spot's absolutely insane. But more representation for the UK hardcore scene. Just because I am a ghoul. I like that stuff.
We both are.
But no, he's great. And also just as a side thing, he is a person that has such a love for the business and everyone that he works with.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen many people on wrestling Twitter that is actually as amazingly positive as Tyler is. Maybe except, of course, for Shady, of course.
Which, considering how much everybody else thinks I'm a miserable person in real life, I don't know what happened.
No, great choices there, Dan. I want to give a couple.
No, sorry. Just finally though, I want to give
please.
a big shout out to. Again, just as an area, I think needs more. It needs more representation, but I feel like it's important to draw attention to the fact that actually, as a independent scene, I'm very happy that the independent scene in the UK is so welcome to the LGBTQ plus community. Which is that the one I have to give my big shout out to is Cassius Neon.
Yes.
Also known as the modern male diva. Cassius is basically the closest you can get to, I guess, what it generally loosely termed an exotico.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it is just a person who is unabashedly themselves, is not scared of it, and is willing to use that in every single way possible.
I mean, I'm looking forward to the day when everything does get back to normal and we finally have the dream match of Cassius versus Effie. That's a match I've been wanting to see for a while now.
Yeah, like it's just stuff like that, and I'm just happy that as a scene we have someone like that.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's just so amazing to see, and there's just like so much about it with just like the bright colors and you know the way that they use the moves and everything, just to again have that really complete sense of character, and just I guess have that thing where it's like you don't have to be scared about going too far.
I think the British scene it's really underrated how well covered it is with the different range of LGBT characters we have, from the likes of Visage and Shaman up in Scotland, Mitchell Starr down at WAW. And because we had Mitchell Starr up at up at Target, and he was a bit unsure how he was going to be received, and he was a face, and he was tagging with Josh, and everybody took to him right away. And like I actually thought he was going to burst into tears. He was that over just from going through the curtain, and going somewhere new with a character like that must be very intimidating. It's one thing to try and get boos or cheers, but when it's something real like that, it must be tough for them.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean that's why looking at things like that. So quite a large chunk of Cassius Neon's work is currently with Lucha Britannia.
Yes. Yeah.
Who again, when we get into the next section, I'll probably give a bit more of a mention to. But no, it's fantastic. It's fantastic to see and fantastic to know that there is so much representation in our scene, and there's spaces to allow for that.
Yeah, it's great. It's such a good feeling to know that not only are the fans so accepting of them, but they are over by proxy, basically at that point. It's so nice to see that.
And I also think after the last year, I think it could be even stronger now that some unsavory characters have been removed that possibly could have held people back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before I go on to favourite promotions, I want to give a special shout out to a friend of the podcast and a person we definitely need to get on in the future when talking about video games. That's Alex Webb. Not only does he really do good YouTube reviews of old SmackDown games, but he's not a bad wrestler at all. And go check out his work over in Scotland because he's so good. I mean, this guy. I mean, I think he will. He said in the future he will explain his 2 worst injuries. But he has alluded to some of his injuries in the past. But if he's willing to injure his nether regions, then I think he definitely deserves a shout out.
Yeah,
it's commitment to the business.
Exactly.
The business.
But no, absolutely entertaining guy. Does really good YouTube videos, but is also a bloody good wrestler as well. Definitely one to check out for the future, for sure. Okay, so let us wrap this up with some of our favourite promotions in the scene. And, of course, Dan knows what's coming. I think Riordan knows what's coming. I want to talk a little bit about Riptide.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Cinematic wrestling from Brighton, and basically the home turf of Chuck Mambo. No, but all that being said, though, I think what's really cool about Riptide when they first started out was, of course, a Brighton-based promotion, which hasn't been seen for quite a while. But the fact that they were willing to use kind of like very more cinematic way of production in terms of film crew, lighting, and having the audience become almost like a fourth or maybe like third participant of a match was really inspired choice by them. And I think that's what set them apart from most other promotions in the UK scene.
I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong here, but I first heard about Cara Noir from Riptide.
Yes, I first heard of Cara from Riptide as well.
Again, like the perfect place to do it.
As an editor, like myself and Riordan being like the media production kind of bubble, I can't gush enough about how well the camera work is for these guys.
Oh, thank God.
It's really, really good. And for an indie promotion as well, to have a very cinematic looking footage as well as very cinematic looking camera pans and camera shots, it's bloody impressive.
Well, I think it's an important thing to say because it's one thing that always comes around where it's like, wanting to go back and watch independent shows and then not feeling like you can because the camera work's so awful. But it's like what I've always said, it's like Progress is I guess you're going to say by proxy, the biggest indie in the UK, right? When I watch their shows on like YouTube, whatever, like looking back on something, I think the camera work is awful.
As a person who's been to a lot of live Progress shows in the past, I can vouch to say that some of the camera work is very intrusive because not only are they in really weird, awkward positions, but they get right in the way of the of the audience.
Half the time, the camera's looking under the bottom rope.
Exactly. Oh gosh, man, that's one thing I certainly have not missed in the current chapters of Progress. That's for sure. It's slightly improved. But no, Riptide is. I love the storylines as well, like Chuck Mambo's storyline to become Brighton champion. Again, as I said, the Brighton Championship is a belt that is a very underrated design. Look to our good belt designs episode.
Yep.
It's such a fun, very inclusive promotion as well. It's very much, a very LGBT positive promotion for sure. So that it gets extra brownie points from me on that part as well.
I don't think it'd be able to survive in Brighton if it wasn't.
Yeah, no, he would be eaten alive.
It's true.
For me, they managed to use a lot of the same workers as other places, but still establish their own style and feel to them.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how I think they used Keith Lee in a couple of shows, but it was amazing how he was uniquely used in Riptide. I mean, a lot better than current day Monday Night Raw, but I digress.
I think that's the thing though about. Again, you're talking about the range of promotions in the UK, which is that there are so many that just do different things to each other. There is a lot of variety out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I was just trying to think of what there was another promotion that I had in mind. Oh, I'll figure it out. In a moment. But also, I will pass it over to Shady. What are some of your favourite promotions in the UK scene?
Well, I'd be rude not to mention Target Wrestling.
We understand.
You are the franchise player after all, so
Yeah.
Indeed.
We have, like you were saying earlier about the divide between the over 18s and the family shows, and we have this weird mix of both on our shows, that the Carlisle shows, which we class as our home shows, and it works. I don't understand how, but it works. You have your groups of rowdy lads who use it as a pre-night out entertainment, and then you've got families there as well, and it all just creates this amazing atmosphere. And I mean, we've had some amazing names come through, as well as bringing our own wrestlers through as well. So I think we've had some really fun shows. If you ever get round to watching British Strong Style, well, Mustache Mountain versus Polo Promotions, that's one of our standout matches of all time. And it includes 10 minutes of back and forth chanting before the match even starts.
Yep.
It's why I love British fans.
But yeah, places like Wrestle Island, which I think has established themselves doing what they do, is a good promotion to look at. Discovery as well. They have a strange mix of audience that they're happy for your high spots. They're happy for your comedy. They kind of want to be entertained. I think we're lucky in the UK that we have such a range, and I'm really excited once shows start coming back again. See, after a few shows have gone by, who's gonna be standing out? Because I think until a few shows have gone past, I don't think we'll see who's rising to the top until they've put the money where the mouth is, shall we say?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It'll be, like, for all intents and purposes, I'm looking forward to the day that, we can all go back to a British indie show. Like, I'm just pining for the days of where I could go to any sort of like indie show and feel the vibe of the crowd and the wrestlers as well. Like,
dude, when they come back, we'll be booking train tickets like crazy.
Exactly.
It's gonna be frankly terrible for my health. It's gonna be just the worst.
It's gonna be bad for my wallet.
Oh gosh, that is true. Oh god, I got to get a job quickly. Dan, please move on before I have an existential crisis. You want some of your favorite promotions?
So, I mean, I've already mentioned two of my absolute favorite ones: BWR, British Wrestling Revolution, and TNT. Yeah. BWR out of Grimsby, comparatively small running in a sense, but they don't skimp on anything.
Oh god, no, they don't.
They do not cut corners. They hold themselves to a high level of quality with everything that they do. And again, they've kind of been supportive along with TNT in Liverpool, who are kind of, I guess, really carving themselves out as the next kind of big British indie, really.
Yeah, it's really
I guess in lieu of Progress.
That is true. No, it's so exciting to see that. Really exciting to see that.
But as I said, the two of them doing their work to represent the UK hardcore scene, because as I said, the demand is there. People want to see it. People want to support it, and I'm happy that it's getting the attention that it deserves, because like there is such a breadth of wrestling styles in the UK, and it isn't just, it's not like that we specialize in anything. We're great at taking lots of things together and bring it together into one package.
So basically, Dan,
one of the things with TNT is they have the different almost brands.
Yeah.
So you've got your over 18s, you've got your more family based, and then you've got your hardcore shows as well. So I think they do tick a lot of boxes.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So I was going to say that. Does this mean that I'm hoping that we can see TNT put on their own version of Tournament of Death in a beer garden?
Well, no, because they said they want to do another DOA tournament.
Well, perfect. There we go.
No, but my one I do again mention Discovery and Source. There, love both of them. For anyone that is wondering, the Scottish Sea is very much alive and very much well.
Oh, hell yeah!
And it is in some absolutely amazing hands across literally in companies across the whole of Scotland.
And and most casual audience or casual fans thought it was just Grado. Oh gosh, you are mistaken.
Yeah, if you're genuinely, it is so worth looking into the range of people there. I mean, again, shout out to Grado because he's absolutely carved his own niche within the international wrestling world.
Absolutely.
No, but my company I want to give a big shout out to is North NCL out of Newcastle.
Yes.
Just because they have been kind of amazing in tapping into that, I guess, an online audience and bringing them into shows. I mean, obviously they have the amazingness of kind of internal ties to Cultaholic.
Yeah.
And What Culture and stuff like that. But they've been amazing at bringing those fans from the online space that might not go to independent shows and opening them up to this world of wrestling that they may not have an opportunity, they may not have considered checking out before. Even if it is just for the sake of the period, say, hey, look, I saw Tom Campbell.
Yeah.
But it seems like they're actually pretty good at taking those people and bring them into a space which is both very welcoming to a non-indie wrestling fan, but also just generally a non-wrestling fan going to a show. It is very much that sense of tapping into that idea of it as entertainment.
It's the whole point of a draw, which a lot of people don't understand. It sounds so basic. If you have something on your show that people want to see, then your audience increases.
Yeah, it is as simple as that. It's like they're making a product people want to go and see. They want to go and check it out, and it's kind of made itself, a mainstay in the Newcastle area. And like I said, it's amazing to me that they've kind of come from where they have, then being featured on Sky Sports.
Yeah.
Talking about UK independent wrestling and the role that they've played in their own little specific area. And it's been amazing to see them just kind of go from strength to strength. And again, I'm looking forward to getting myself all the way up there for a show when I can.
Oh, absolutely. I am.
Also, there's a very specific aura around their shows, which makes it feel like it's shot in a warehouse.
No, yes. I get exactly.
But also
what you mean.
in a very weird way. It's also family friendly. It's the family friendly smoke filled warehouse.
Family friendly Fight Club.
Yeah. That's actually a very appropriate way of describing it.
No, it's true. Oh man, no, yeah. I look forward to the day that the three of us can go up there and go to a show. That's going to be so.
We're going to get ourselves to Target as well.
Oh,
it's going to be amazing.
I look forward to the day where we get to do that. We get to just jump on trains and ping-ponging to every corner of the country to just watch indie shows.
I'm going to start replying. It's me. I'm there. And I'm writing my report on the Cornish wrestling scene.
Well, at least the wrestling's good now. When before I was actually wrestling, the shows weren't even that good, and we were traveling everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, because with that, I mean, a question that I'm just curious of. I mean, because I guess the guys that you were kind of like your contemporaries back when you were starting out, Shady, would have been guys like Doug, Jody Fleisch, Johnny Storm, all those
Alex
guys.
Shane,
Alex Shane, yeah.
The FWA kind of era.
Mm.
Yeah, and like I've been lucky enough to work with Johnny and Jody, and there's a reason why they're still going. They're that good.
There's a reason, like, I still highly rate Jody and Johnny versus the Young Bucks from Honor reunited back a couple of years ago, because I'm still amazed that Jody Fleisch can still pull off the 720 DDT so well.
He's in better shape than he used to be.
Exactly.
He's real.
That man, seriously, like, I know he was going to be in the Battle of Los Angeles a couple of years ago, but he needs to go back there because I feel like he is a legend in his own right. But no, yeah,
Dude,
big up Jody Fleisch.
Dude, Jody
Half the time he
Fleisch.
doesn't realise.
Yeah.
Jody Fleisch, I think it's CZW circa 2002.
Best of the best three.
Yes.
Dude, hits different.
It really does. His matches with Ruckus, well worth checking out.
Oh.
But no, the final question I actually wanted to tell Riordan, actually point towards Riordan. Now that we've talked about all of this, we've talked about multiple names, multiple companies, the British scene seemingly now kind of when it comes back is going to be as strong as it ever has been. Are you going to go out of your way to kind of integrate yourself into the British indie scene?
Yes, because it's my job.
Besides it being a job.
That wasn't the answer you were meant to give.
No, I kid, I swear to God. No, in all honesty, as soon as things open up, I'm definitely going to be taking a chance to see the Brit Rest guys in action and gals and non-binary pals, all of them in action. Definitely, and it seems that I've got some people to look out for. Definitely,
for sure. I feel like I guess the way I ended this on is kind of like with everything that had happened last year. I am very happy that that it not only got taken very seriously, but there has seemed to be a lot of proactive action. I mean, for me, it's really unprecedented. There have been forces outside of wrestling that have taken this very seriously, up to the point now that we have a parliamentary group that has looked in and kind of
they've published their report now, and it's due to go for debate in Parliament.
And I really hope, for the sake of everyone that has made waves and has gone over for in the big leagues, in the mainstream companies of WWE and AEW, to the guys and gals that are just starting out, that it's a much more better place, a much more safer place for everyone involved.
The big thing for me is I reckon after maybe 3 or 4 years, it could be stronger than it was. I think we're gonna see less of the same wrestlers everywhere. I think we're going to get a lot of new faces on the scene, and I think it could end up being better than it was.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I genuinely believe that British wrestling could be in like a revival period.
Absolutely. And that is a way to end our episode on Who's Who of British Wrestling.
I would get in now before it really takes off and you struggle to see your future favourites.
Exactly.
Yeah. Get in now.
Okie doke. So, that concludes our episode on the Who's Who of British Independent Wrestling. Thoughts and feelings, everybody?
It's just nice acknowledging the good bits.
It is, isn't it?
Especially when, like, obviously so much of being a British wrestling fan, like, the last year has felt so tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine what that's been like. I mean, given our perspective as fans, how that's been. But, I mean, I can't have imagined how tough it must have been for you, Shady, to experience that and see that.
The speaking out movement was tough because it was a lot of things that, to be honest, didn't surprise me. I personally didn't know any details, but like the whole the old excuse was it's wrestling, and that's just rubbish. Yeah, I've got kids, and if my two girls got like half of these even not as serious allegations, then I wouldn't be standing for it. So we need to get rid of that whole attitude, and being wrestling isn't an excuse. But with the lockdown, I actually strangely feel in a better position now than I was. It's kind of forced hands. We've had to stay relevant, and beforehand, I think I had only ever done one podcast, and now I've done a handful of them. I've put myself out there doing a YouTube show. I've provided feedback for wrestlers, and I created Project Wrestling Unity to try and help promote the good stuff. I think a lot of wrestlers have the attitude of they can't be positive because you only want something. Now, the only thing I want is wrestling to be better.
Yeah. Exactly. No, I think we could all agree on that one.
If the wrestling's better everywhere else, then more people come through the door, which means more money, which means more shows, which means everybody does better, which means the wrestling gets better because everybody's improving. Then everybody wins.
Exactly.
It's like I said earlier, some of the basic concepts of wrestling are so simple, but they've been overlooked for so long that, do you know, like when we learned when we first got taught wrestling, we didn't have any teachings about match structure, psychology, match lengths.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
You just went out there and sank or swim. And now people like myself are available for younger, less experienced wrestlers to ask questions, to give feedback, just to improve.
Yeah.
And it's, you know what I mean? It is an exciting time, really.
It really is. I am more than ever kind of so excited to see where we can go, where the UK scene can go, more than ever, more than I have been, well, since when it was right in its boom period a few years back. So no, so excited. As you mentioned, Shady, you've had a couple of things going on since lockdown. Where can people find you on social media?
It's at Shady Nattrass on Twitter, or if you're on Facebook, facebook.com/Shady Nattrass. And I have a merchandise store, shadynattrass.bigcartel.com. And I also have Project Wrestling Unity, which is at Wrestling Unity on Twitter, and Project Wrestling Unity is the Facebook page.
All awesome stuff, all positive stuff. And honestly, thank you so much for joining us on this episode, Shady. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Okie doke. So before we head off, I need to announce the next episode for the Sweet Chinwag, and we are talking about a funny one. We're going to be talking about on the next episode. It's wrestlers in film. Does this mean we're going to bring up No Holds Barred? Oh, you bet we're going to bring up No Holds Barred.
It's actually just me going through every single Scorpion King movie.
What, even the one with Randy Couture in it?
Yes.
No, all right, fair enough. Fair enough. So look forward to that one on the next episode. But until then, I have been Sam. This has been Riordan Dan, and our special guest, Shady Nattrass, and you have been listening to the Sweet Chinwag podcast. We'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.